That it is. And okay, so it's saying that we're live. So welcome, everyone. Just before we begin talking about Kate Daniels' books, I would like to acknowledge that I am hosting this meeting on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I would like to pay my respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to any Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander or First Nations people who might be watching this or watching it on replay. So, well, welcome very much to our chat about books 3 and 4 from the Kate Daniels Readathon, plus all the extra things that go around it. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Megan, or Meow Fader. And if you hear clicking noises, it's because my dog has decided he wants to roam free across my apartment.
Hi, I'm Heather from HandbookTubes. And, you know, talk about romance and stuff.
If you're here, you know that I'm Stef. This is my channel, and I think we've all had an interesting week or an interesting day or something coming to it. So bear with us.
It'll be all right.
It's nice to see so many people here. So welcome. Going through my list.
Look at comments.
Happy weekend, yeah, it's Friday.
Yes, happy weekend, everyone. I don't know about anyone else, but this weekend has been really long. So this week has been really long.
So, Steph, you have work stuff all day on a Saturday?
No, well, so what happened is back in, term 2, so this would have been May, a bunch of us booked ourselves into a 2-day conference. So it was Friday and Saturday. And
mistakes were made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not so much a mistake, but I just double booked myself this weekend. But I have spoken to the coordinators of it. They're recording it and editing it, so I'll be able to catch up on the sessions that I missed during the day. But I've been up since 8:20 this morning, and it's 11 o'clock, doing professional learning, which has been great. But yes, my brain is a little bit fried, so that's okay. I'm happy to talk about the books because I'm really excited about these books because I forgot how much I enjoyed them.
They were fun.
So
yeah,
they were fun. And I know because we started with Magic Strikes, which is a bit of a kick in the series just because of what happens in the first half of it. But so if you... oh yes, see, I'm glad other people are having long days too. It's not just
if Steph is suffering, she wants others to suffer as well.
I don't want people to suffer. I just want people to commiserate with. All right, so we might as well start there because we've got Magic Strikes.
We've got a lot.
Magic Mourns, Magic Bleeds, Magic Dreams, and then the Curran POVs. And I know quite a few people have been reading them, and I totally understand that because that is how I usually consume all of these books. So,
I am really sticking to you cannot read a book
me too.
that's not covered in this live show or you're going to mix it up.
I know.
I've been just
so am I. Because I do that already. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. So I've tried to be really good. So. But I
am being good because otherwise I'll spoil something.
I'm being so good that I almost didn't finish the books. So
yeah, but you did finish them.
I did finish them.
I will apologize if you hear my phone going off. My mum has just gone to Costco and is now looking at all the Christmas decorations going, should I buy this? I'll let my sister handle that one.
Yeah, that sounds like my mom sister group chat. Yeah. I usually don't say anything, to be honest.
Well, they know I've got plans all day, so it's stop messaging me.
Okay, so
Magic Strikes.
This says phone notes. So apparently I took some notes on my phone. I should go look at
At least you reminded yourself.
I did, but I know I didn't do it for anything else. Okay, I did it.
Okay, so recap it. Do you want me to do a brief recap? Should we do that and then talk about your notes, Heather, while you gather your thoughts?
Oh, I'm ready, but you do
Okay,
whatever.
you go. Then you go.
Well, are we just starting at the very beginning?
Sure, let's do that. It's a good place to start.
Okay. Okay, the beginning of Magic Strikes is when he is in the restaurant, when he like walks into the restaurant with them. I feel like that's like the first scene that I want to chat about. Is there something before that you guys want to talk about when he walks in on her, on Kate, Andrea, and Raphael?
Oh, that was the first one you had down.
Yeah, well, it starts. I mean, I guess it starts with Kate doing Kate jobs.
This is not in order. This is just. It's just like highlights that I checked. I was in bed.
What I have.
It was dark. I was like, this is a good book. I should put down notes before I sleep. So I just stream of consciousness.
My first posted is on page 2, where it talks about Kate having to get a banshee down from the telephone banshee. But the banshee's actually like just like a middle-aged or like a grandma. Mm-hmm. And then the magic drops and the grandma's back to normal, and she's like, do you think anyone noticed? And everyone had to be like, noticed what? What are you talking about? Oh, hi grandma, where did you come from?
Yeah.
And that was funny.
I feel like
I kind of
that'd be awkward.
I kind of like how a lot of, and I can't remember if it's the same for all the other books, but we kind of opened with Kate doing her job and just getting an introduction to. I
feel like this is a common opening that they do. Yeah. Where she's on a job. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it.
This one leads to a second job, right? I think she gets, is this the one where she gets bribed with cookies? Or is it another one? No, that's in the 5th book.
I don't remember
the 4th book that she gets bribed with cookies.
I was going to say, was it the second one where they open up with her and Jim on the job and she has to do the head? Yeah, that was the second book.
The third book
and then this one was the Banshee.
The Banshee, and then like on her way home from the Banshee, she has to go.
She sees the shapeshifters.
Yeah, go see the shapeshifters because there was a murder.
Yeah.
No, she comes across the scene and they're like, we don't need your help.
We don't need your help.
You see nothing is basically how that went. Yeah.
And then we have the restaurant scene.
Yes, and then we have the restaurant scene.
And it provides like that whole sequence though, where she goes and they reject her assistance, plays like that's a really good way to play into what happens later on when it's finally when Curran retains her assistance. Which I thought was a really interesting way to sort of tie that thread through the story, because they've made a big deal so far about the way that the order is brought in to different cases.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I
agree. Jim being Jim.
Yeah. I think
I have such a love-hate relationship with Jim.
I think for the most part, I like Jim, like as a person.
I do like him, but I'm also like, you need to be nicer to Kate. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
The whole series, I'm like, you need to be nicer to Kate.
Well, considering how often he's worked with her as well, and how long he's worked with her. I
upon a murder on my way home.
I feel like he's the type of person who, if he has good thoughts about you, he just keeps them to himself. And I am not that person.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Jim totally. Jim.
No, your hair looks cute today. I'm not going to just keep that in.
Jim will not tell anybody anything nice.
No. Jim's the worst and the best at the same
He'll
time.
think it, but he won't say it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Stone face Jim. Bulldog face Jim, or whatever they called him in book 1 and 2.
Yeah. Actually, the other thing that I noticed this time around, and this is, I don't know if this was something that they planned to sort of seed as a thought at the beginning of this series for later on with what they're doing, and possibly not. But it's the first time they mention Alaska's Ice Fury pack, which comes up much, much later on. But it's sort of, it almost links in with what happens later, which I can't say, but I like rereading it.
I don't think I noticed that the first time through, like that they mentioned another pack, but they did mention another pack. You're right. They were talking about the size, right? Which packs were the biggest and most powerful?
Yeah, because they're is Alaska the biggest?
Yeah. Alaska's the biggest.
Alaska's the biggest one. Yeah. So I just thought that was like rereading it, coming back, going, oh, okay, this is actually mentioned that early on, because it does play a part a bit later on. But Derek getting caught in.
I feel like a wild amount of things are mentioned early on. You don't necessarily notice them, and you don't necessarily have the context for them, and they're not really harped upon. But a lot of things have already been sprinkled through the first few books,
which is great. I think like even if they didn't intend to use it in any way, they've got something there that they can pull on later on. Like this is something we've mentioned, but we've never really unpacked. So they've actually got room to do that.
Yeah,
but you don't want to talk about Derek being locked up in
oh my gosh, yes, with
Simon's apartment.
I forgot about that.
I loved that. That was hilarious. Simon was just like, I have something I think you want. And it's like, oh no. Poor Kate was like dead on her feet and just like, my day is never gonna end. And then it's Derek in a cage.
I feel like this is the perfect time to mention that the Curran's POV and stuff, well, both POVs for the conclave, she should have just let Curran maim Simon a little bit, like a little bit. He would have healed. He's so obnoxious. He's just like,
I love him. I love Simon.
I know exactly what's gonna make you work with me, and that's the thread I'm gonna pull. And Kate always does it, even though she gets like so mad at him. This is just another example.
I love him. I love him.
A little bit.
Well, he just pushes everyone's buttons.
He's the worst.
But also Derek being a teenage boy.
Yes.
And thinking, oh yes, I can just break into his apartment and steal these tickets that I really want.
And it's like, I don't know. I feel like Simon is somebody that you don't know like his levels or anything. It's not somebody you just want to blindly mess with.
Yeah.
Assuming that they're harmless.
He's so great. I love him. The battle later on with him, I'm just like, yes, I love this so much. So
he's just like a mindless toddler with giant fists and a club.
Yeah.
It's like the worst fighting strategy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. No, I like it. It adds layers.
I just know me, okay? Imagine I'm Kate and I'm like actually ridiculously good at fighting, and just like watching this toddler giant, the level of frustration I would feel, especially since like I want him to come out of it alive. It would kill me. It would kill me. I do like his origins. Yeah. I think that is very entertaining. And I like that it's not, even though he can be seductive, if you will, it's not like the love interest or anything like that. That is the descendant of Loki. It's a random side character that Kate like won't give any attraction to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the restaurant. Since you guys want to talk about the restaurant.
I loved the restaurant scene.
I would feel so awkward if I was like condolences and they were like, for what?
Yeah.
Okay, I would die.
Before Curran comes in and Kate's like, man, I really need this information. And then Andrea's just like, oh, well, okay, if Raphael's here, they're both just going to take advantage of his infatuation with Andrea. It's like, oh, well, you barged into our lunch. So we're going to get all this information from you. And he's just like, no, I don't think so. And it's like, okay, then I guess we're done. Wait, but I want to spend time with you. What do you want to know? And I was just like, yes. Yeah. And then asking Kate for dating advice was great too. She's like, what? Why are you asking me?
I actually adore Raphael because, and it comes up later on, he knows what the right thing, like he really likes Andrea. So great for that. But also when he makes decisions, like I find his decision-making process really interesting, because sometimes it's self-interest, sometimes it's because he's being petty, and sometimes it's because he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And he's just, but whichever way he goes, he's usually very endearing about it. And I don't like, even when you're being self-interested, I still find this deeply fascinating.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
he's a good combination. He's not just a genius. He's not just annoying or frustrating.
Yeah.
Or even, ridiculously charming and good looking. Like he is multifaceted. I like that.
And apparently, like, he's a really good fighter, and that's like one of the bottom things that they use to describe him. Like, it's like at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, they forget that he's actually a really good fighter until they're like, we need a fighter. Oh yeah, Raphael. Like, don't mess with him. And it's like, what? Why didn't no one say this earlier?
I think part of it as well is because of the way that the Bowder clan is structured. Like, his place is really interesting because he's the top male, but the males don't have the
They're not really high ranking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's almost like people oh God, I've forgotten the word.
Underestimate.
Underestimate. Thank you. Oh my God, words.
Well, I think some of that is just personality too. If somebody's playful all the time, I feel like you see this a lot in books actually. But if somebody's playful and easygoing and charming, it's easy to forget that they can literally kill you without like blinking an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like that applies to him.
So I'm excited for you guys to read Gunmetal Magic.
I haven't read it yet. Reading the novellas made me really happy because I hadn't read either of them yet.
Listen, the way Andrea treats Raphael, I'm like not her biggest fan right now. I had forgotten how much she annoyed me with the order stuff and and just like not giving him a chance in the first place.
She's got some baggage. She's got a lot of baggage.
She's got baggage.
It's just for me, like I don't take that long to warm up to you or forgive you, or like I'm literally not going to hold out for 6 months just to see if you make a misstep or not. Like, so when characters do that, it annoys me because I'm like, just go over it.
But and part of me wondered, like, within the actual Kate Daniels books, she doesn't really they don't really have time to grow Andrea in that way, which is kind of why I'm glad that you have the book, because she gets to work through the baggage. So that's why I'm excited about that. But we won't talk about that one because that's next month. But very excited.
Yeah.
Because we get to spend more time with Raphael and Andrea.
I have never read it, so I am looking forward to that.
Same.
Yeah. All right. And I agree with you when Curran does walk in after that conversation like that. It's almost like that.
A chair off of the floor that is bolted to the floor so that he can move it to their table.
I love his scenes. I just do.
He's very over the top. He's very over the top.
He's like the most alpha of alphas. I love him.
Yeah.
But then his POVs, I think he says this dumbest like honey.
His POVs make me want to like smack him over the head. I'm like, why are you courting her for like months at a time if you think that she's dumb? No, I could stab you.
He's also like, I think I'm so funny. And everyone's like, but you're not. You need to stop. And he's like, never.
I like his sense of humor.
It's the benefits of being king, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that Simon is like another pressure point that he touches is Curran being king and nobody saying no to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little Mamie. That's all it would have taken.
Actually, the other thing that we get is the whole idea of courting, how the different shapeshifters court.
Yeah.
I liked that too.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do like that the Bowdas are like practical jokes.
Yeah.
That would make me laugh. I love it.
And the going theory is that the cats are just weird.
Yeah.
What do the cats do? Oh, whatever they feel like.
Okay,
well.
Cats just do weird things.
Cats are cats.
Which we'll come back to in Magic Bleeds. But
Yes.
And also Kate's cats are more individualistic. So it's like what one would do isn't what the other one would do and stuff. I feel like it's very authentic to the cat nature.
Yeah. And I think when what was it? Because, when Curran doesn't find out from Jim about the shapeshifter, there's the phone call that, because Kate's screening her calls. And I was reading back over it just before, and it's this very short conversation, like one-word answers from Kate because she's annoyed at Curran. But I think it shows a really interesting look at another really good, interesting look at the pack dynamics and how, Jim withholding that kind of information, despite the fact that he's in charge of security and despite the fact that it's part of his job, he's broken the rules, and it's starting to force Curran to actually follow through on a lot of the threats that he's made in previous books as well. That, you can't just have someone doing something and not reporting it or not going through the proper steps. So I find that really interesting, just to think about how that sort of pack structure works, at least in this world.
Yeah, that's something I don't like about the pack, and I don't like about rules in general, when you're not allowed to make a judgment call or an exception or anything. And it's just like, no, sorry. I mean, you were late because, your whole family was murdered, but rules are rules. So now you're going to be beheaded. Like it's kind of that type of thing. And it just bugs me. It bugs me in school settings. It bugs me in like a hierarchy like this where it really is life or death. And I do understand the whole idea that shifters have to be rigid and strict in all the senses. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, dude. But
I think what it shows later on is where Curran gets frustrated with those constraints as well.
The way I would have just murdered all the alphas. This is why I'm not in charge, because I just would have been like, you did what? You're telling me that you didn't know what's the word, subservience we're doing? I think not. You have been replaced with murder.
Yeah.
That's that would have been my diplomacy right there. And then I would have walked away and the pack could have just dealt with itself.
Yeah.
I'm not
getting ahead of ourselves.
For the job.
When do we ever stay on track?
It's fair.
Let's be real.
I feel like it's all connected, so it works.
Well, it is. And I think, everything sort of just builds and then calls back to things that have already happened, which you would hope would happen in a good series. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's why it makes such a good reread too, because it's not like, oh, this is completely unrelated to any of the last 6 books that I just read. It's like, no, it is all connected in different ways, but it's not, you're just reading this one storyline the whole way through. There's many, many different storylines and layers and threads that are woven. Yeah. It makes it really good.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk about the magic games?
Yes.
Magic games?
Midnight
games. Oh my God.
The midnight games? Yeah, the midnight games.
God. Something that starts with M.
That's fine.
The games where it's just people murder each other and other people are like, well, this is cool.
It's just gladiators. Yeah.
It's gladiators, but with like magic and shapeshifters. Right. And Simon ordered a minotaur from Greece.
I did. God. Yeah. I thought that's one of the very interesting things about the games was how it talked about Kate's childhood experience with the same thing or a very similar thing. I thought that really was an interesting insight. I loved a lot of the reveals that happened through the games, but like we're not ready to talk about that yet. But I also love that when she was playing bodyguard, she was in like this dress and everything, but she was like staring everybody down and like trying. And then she sees this one guy who has that confidence that basically means he knows none of you are a threat to him, and how she's just like, how she recognizes that. And is cautious of it and all of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true as well. I think there's a lot of things that are brought into the games. It's again, I think one of the strengths that Alona Andrews have is just weaving in things, and it's there. And it almost seems seamless, like you accept it because you're not making a big deal about weaving in different cultures, different religions, different types of history. It's just sort of it's all just part of this world without it being, you must pay attention to this because we're making a commentary on something. It's not that, which I appreciate.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it also basically demonstrates that the whole world is affected by this weird like magic tech shift. It's not just whatever is special about Atlanta, Georgia. It's like, no, like there's literal minotaurs in Greece, and the only way that people can travel is by boat now because planes will just randomly fall out of the sky whenever the tech wave falls. So it's like we're back to boats. Boats are nothing.
And it's not an easy journey because you have
there's sea
more things in the ocean
that
can.
Yeah, no, when they're like, oh, that's dangerous. There are sea monsters. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Kraken is now real. I don't like this at all.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
No.
What about when Curran breaks into her apartment?
Yes.
Because that's like one of my favorite scenes.
He watches her sleep or whatever, right? Like he sneaks into her apartment and then she's like, someone's in my house.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then she goes,
he's like, normally you don't wake up.
Which means he's done it before. And that's very, I will say though, that's very like Edward Cullen just watching her sleep. I'm not a huge fan of that.
See, I am a fan of it because of the whole cat courting thing. Like, obviously, it's not just him being creepy. It's something that's meaningful to him, which is to check and make sure that his mate, the person that he views as his mate, is safe and asleep and in bed and still healthy and all the things.
Like,
I still a bit creepy, but less creepy than Edward. I mean,
I found it okay when he like broke in and ate her food and then left. That was funny. But I'm just like, why are you just watching her sleep?
But I think a good part of this book, at all of the books up to sort of book 4, is that he actually doesn't know what to do with the fact that he likes her.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't know what, like, he's still putting her down. He's still attracted to her, and he's still doing weird things that I think to his mind show that he cares about her, but it all comes across as really weird.
He's also just an awkward dude.
To being a cat. He is an awkward dude.
Like, you don't really see it.
Creepy, but endearing.
But endearing. Yeah, no, like, I guess you don't see it as much because they always portray him as, like, powerful Curran. But, like, if it wasn't for the fact that people had to respect him, he's just kind of weird. Like, he's just like, I don't know what to do in this situation. But if I growl...
How dare you? How dare you? I can't even believe that I have subjected myself to this. No. First of all, I feel like there's a Curran that lives in my head who like knows what he's doing, and then there's some scenes don't seem to fit that.
Yeah, I think there's the Heather, you and I have had this conversation. I think there's the Curran that we know, that we get. And coming back to earlier books, he's not there yet.
No. I remember feeling this way the first time around too. Okay, because he's being celibate, right? He's waiting for Kate. He's courting her. I think that, especially kind of in the main bodies of work, you're getting this idea that the only reason he's not moving at a quicker pace when it comes to pursuing her is, one, the pack really does take a ridiculous amount of his time and resources. And two, he knows that Kate will flee in a panic if she thinks that he's getting too serious about her. And he is literally just kind of trying to gentle her to the idea of being around him in a permanent relationship type of way. And I feel like that's kind of the vibe that you get from the main books. Even like with the Midnight Games, I feel like, listen, Megan, it's not my fault that you're wrong. It's my turn to talk right now. I feel like even with the Midnight Games, he doesn't view Kate as the problem. Now, in his POV, you kind of do get the idea that he very much views her as the problem. But in the main work, I feel like he is almost madder at Jim, not just for what he's doing, but also for the fact that he's dragging Kate into it. And I also feel like in this book, you get the idea that Curran is ready to take the relationship to the next level. And now he has this whole curveball thrown at him, which is now he has to deal with the head of security and all of the other things that are happening that are going rogue and kind of interrupting his pursuing of Kate. And then I feel like his POV is like, what moron could lead all my best people to betray me? Kate Daniels. So I'm like, no, you love her. She's great.
I'm going to come back to that last point a little bit later on, because it has to do with one of my favorite scenes from the book. And I agree with you to some extent, because I think from the second half of this book, he is more serious. But yeah,
theoretically, I think the author is trying to convince the reader that this is somebody that you want her to be with. And if you view him as somebody that thinks that she's dumb as a box of rocks and just careless with her life, which is definitely how he does view her initially, you could definitely get with his point of view for the meeting, but not necessarily from the meeting. I don't feel like that. I feel like that's testing. All that stuff is testing. Yeah. But when, it's not the boyfriend, he's just like, yeah, no, you're cut off. Yeah. I feel like at that point, he does kind of view her as a problem and a show off and all of these things. Yeah. But I feel like at this point, he really doesn't. And then some things kind of contradict that. But if that was how he viewed her, then it wouldn't make sense for him to pursue her. So I'm sticking with my pursuing.
Fair enough.
So you're not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong.
He still acts very much like a person who was thrown into power at the age of 15 and hasn't had a break. So
I don't know because literally he handles so many different personalities. That doesn't, to me, say boy king. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's not a boy anymore. It's been like 15 years, 20 years, something like that.
Right. But traditionally, when you see somebody come into power at a young age, or even, let's say, fame at a young age, they don't mature a whole lot past that point. Their life almost freezes at that moment, and there are a lot of like emotional maturity that doesn't happen. I don't feel like that's where we are with him. I feel like he's the only person that can do his job effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't do his job well. He does his job well. I'm saying like when he kind of turns off having to be king, he like doesn't know how to act anymore.
Yeah, I think that role of leader is so deeply ingrained in him that he hasn't had he's had relationships, but I would suspect that he hasn't let anyone actually get close enough to him to even challenge his role as leader, which is what's happening with Kate.
Okay. Two things. One, I feel like he does fine. It's just, again, he's used to, whatever my decision is, that's the decision. Yeah. But the other thing is, realistically, he's never had a relationship with anybody who truly was his equal. Always maybe they were even a powerful alpha, but they were not as alpha as he was. Kate really is the first person to be on his level. And the same thing with Kate, though. That's why I love Curran for her so much. And it talks so much about this at the beginning, in like the first book and everything. But it talks about how she either can't be with somebody because her power would be their power, in the sense that once you have power, you want more power. That's just kind of the nature of it. And also to be with somebody who is just normal would be a great disservice. So for them to actually be on level with each other and complement each other is what I think makes the couple work so well, especially throughout the series with all the different storylines. And you get to see once again, okay, they are equal. They really do balance each other out. And also, if one can't handle it, the other one will.
So what you're saying is he's never had someone that he's had to like interact with that is his equal, and so he doesn't know how to act around someone who is his equal.
No. What I'm saying is, I feel like their stabs and their sarcasm and stuff, I feel like that's who they are. That's them being comfortable with somebody. That's the type of banter, the type of back and forth that they enjoy. And that's what really makes the relationship so much fun for them. But then I also think for both of them, right now, their life goals are wildly different. Curran's is to have the pack be safe. And because the pack is safe, ultimately his future family will be safe. And Kate's is don't let anybody too close or they'll get hurt. And so for her, the pack is literally not powerful enough to represent safety. And so it's a liability. Whereas for Curran, it does represent safety. And I think that's more of their issues, as well as they both literally want to stay on their own course, their own priority and what they see, which their decisions make sense from their viewpoint and the knowledge that they have, but they don't align at this point. I think that's their main issue. It's not so much the I can never let you have your way, which I think is something that insecure men can sometimes have an issue with.
Yeah, I kind of fall in line with this around. I love them as a couple, and I love Curran, and I love the dynamic that they have. But I didn't think he was all. I don't think he showed that he was all in until they got to the Midnight Games. But that's just.
Yeah, I feel like the closer she gets to death, the more he realizes he can't live without her.
Yeah.
Well, she gets close to death in the first book, and you see him rescuing her from death there. But I agree. I think that he has a hard time tamping down his emotions when he feels like he's about to lose her.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Derek?
No, Derek, no. Both of us are like, oh.
So the thing that did work for me in this book was I forgot how early it happened. I was thinking it was later, and so I kept reading, not realizing I was right there. So that was helpful, but so sad, and that's so sad. And then they go and get Julie, and she was like looking at him and is crying. I was like, no, all. I hate her. I hate her so much. Good old what's her face from the games that he like did all this for.
Oh yeah,
I hate her. She can die. I do not care. You are a selfish idiot.
Livy, was that her name?
Yeah, hate her.
Livy.
I'm on Team Julie. Hate her. She can die. Die in the games right in front of me. I don't care.
I will say, I did like that Julie was just like, shut up, Derek. People still like you. And then just like stormed out. And I was like, that's adorable.
Yeah. The ability to communicate what one is thinking was not really there, but the emotion was.
Yeah.
And I do love that. And I love that Derek, I have never read Blood Heir, which is the spin-off series that the first book is out.
I've also never read
about Julie. However, I think right from the second book, you kind of get the vibe that Julie and Derek are going to be endgame. When I tell you I'm rooting for that so hard, if this does not happen for me, I'm going to be devastated.
I mean,
if they get a whole Julie series and she ends up with some rando, I am going to...
If it does happen, it won't happen for another 5+ years.
Listen,
because she's 13.
No. I'm talking about
18.
He's 19 in this book.
He's 19.
In her series, she's not, but I haven't read it, so I don't really know.
I haven't read it either. I'm just saying, like, right now, it'd be weird.
Like, I definitely feel like they end up together, but I also feel like they're going to pull a Kate and Curran and take like 4 or 5 books to get there. Whatever. Haven't read it. Don't know. That's just my own speculation.
Like
but anyways,
it's a childhood crush, and
like,
he's just really sweet to her.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Not
we
creepy
know.
sweet, but like
we know. The point is, in the future, I do feel like having somebody who maybe it was just a childhood crush, but somebody who loved you when you were Boy Wonder and then stuck with you, even again, not in a romantic sense, because yes, the age thing, obviously, he's not a creep, so that's not a thing. We're not doing that. But still, somebody who cared about you at your darkest time, who doesn't hate the changes in you, still loves you as this new version of yourself. You know, I do love that.
Mm-hmm.
I really like their relationship because it's never portrayed as older brother looking out for her. He's always had he always shows respect to her, and I think and it goes back to that scene in book 2 where he makes her the rose.
And when he's like, if a boy wanted to have sex with you, to take
he makes her a rose and is like, I break his legs. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that shows sort of the values that Derek has, which is why, like, I was never the fact that Julie has a crush on him and there's that age gap and, you know, nothing happens. It never felt weird because it never felt like anyone was trying to push boundaries.
Right. It doesn't feel weird at all.
No, it doesn't feel weird.
Sense that it's clear she has a crush.
Yeah.
But as an adult, even the adults in her life, they're aware that she has a crush. But also, Derek wouldn't be worthy of the crush if he in any way acted on it when she is a literal child. There's a reason why there's age of consent and all of the things. She is a literal child. Of course she's going to have crushes. Literally 3-year-olds can have crushes. But is always, always, always on the adult. It is never the child's fault. It's always on the adult. If you have a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, it is the 19-year-old's fault, right? Always. Yeah. So I think he's never hurting her by acting like she is ridiculous or anything like that. But he's also not in any way being like, sneak out back with me, which would make him a villain.
He doesn't make it like no one makes it weird. It generally is written like a middle schooler who has a crush on like a college kid, right? Like that's how it's written. It's just like, oh well, I have a 13-year-old niece and a friend who's in college, and she's like, oh, he's so cute,
right?
And it's like,
and again, Derek, especially at the beginning, was incredibly good looking, so. Of course, any teenage girl is going to pick him.
Yeah.
But
and
also,
he's nice to her. Like, not weird nice.
He treats her like a person, like a full-grown person. All of those things are reasons for her to have a crush on them. And I know what, like, Mandy's saying, but I don't feel weird wanting it because I know enough. One, obviously, I've already read it, so there's that. But even the first time around, like, I trust the authors enough to be like, okay, so this is a thread, and it's not going to become a thing until everybody is old enough to.
Have you guys read Magic Stars?
No.
Yes, I did. Okay, that's 8.5.
Yes.
I don't even know if I got to 8, so I'm going to say no.
Oh, you didn't. You loser.
Anyway. I think because that's a Julie Derek
I like that one.
It's not a.
I'm trying not to talk anything about it, but I liked it so much.
No, I'm not going to say anything about the story, but it's. I think it sort of shows. It shows how they've changed over time, and then you get to Blood Air. So, welcome.
Hey, Bree. I just want Blood Air. I have to make it through this entire reread, then I can read it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of these characters, they have like their background has some. They all have some element of trauma in it. They've had to face things very early on. So the maturity and the understanding, I think, of some things is.
I think in certain aspects, Julie is mature for her age. Like she's very jaded already, like with life, but
She's also a kid.
She's also like a kid. Like she also very much is just like, oh man, well I don't have any friends and like these people suck, so I'm just gonna run away from school. Like that's not a thing an adult would do.
I do want to talk about that in the next book.
Speaking
I do
of,
want to talk about that.
Yes.
The school scene when Raphael and Kate sweep up to the school with their black and their capes and their swords and their horses.
Like freaking like Clydesdale horses.
The Beast Lord says hello. Like, yes. I would be a cool middle grader if people cared like this.
I loved that, where she was like, hey, Raphael, can you do me a favor? And he was like, what? And then she tells him, he's like, oh, hell yeah, I can do that favor.
Raphael understood the assignment. He was like, head to toe, leather. It was good stuff.
That was so good.
I don't even know where we were up to. I don't even know where we're up to.
So, so Derek gets hurt, right? And then Kate goes and gets Julie from the school with Raphael. And then they bring Julie and she sees Derek and they can't heal Derek. We have more Doolittle. Who I like
Doolittle.
We bring in Dolly.
Is that where we figured out that Doolittle was a honey badger? Was in this one?
Adorable.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, because
then Derek was like, you couldn't smell him.
Yeah.
It's like, would you like some tea with your honey?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thought it was like a healing thing. No, it's just he's a honey badger.
He's a honey badger.
Yeah. And I like the introduction of Dolly in this book.
I like Dolly. She's nice. She's sweet.
That's another thing that I was like remembering incorrectly for some unknown reason. I was thinking that like Derek got hurt like after the games, and then when the Rakshasas, when they like took them to the magical palace and stuff, I was thinking that Dolly, ignore my pronunciations, it's fine. I was thinking that Dolly was like a prisoner there, and when they rescued Kate, they rescued her too, and that's how she came to the pack. Not all of that was made up. That was not true.
I have to say, and this happens every time I read this book, I have the hardest time with the Rakshas. Well, I can't even say it. With those guys, and also
Rakshasas.
Thank you. And also where they're callous hiding, like for whatever reason, every time I read it, it's almost like I don't know what I'm reading. I think I got it this time. I think I got it better this time around, but I just and this is the 4th time I've read this book, I think. And every time I get to that scene, I'm like, I think I know what you're trying to tell me, but I can't picture it and I don't understand it. And I don't know how we got from here to here. I don't know. Maybe that's the way that my brain is working. It's the one thing in the series that I've never been able to wrap my head around.
I'm definitely a reader that sees things hazily or partially. Like if you're describing the desk to me, I can like kind of see the desk, but like I can't remember what all you said about the rest of the room. Like the full room doesn't come into picture or anything like that.
Well, I don't make pictures in my head when I read things. Like I associate it with things. So I'd never see anything. So when you get something, I almost felt like this was something that I couldn't relate to anything else, which is probably why I struggled with it a little bit.
Like I can do scenes, I can't do faces. So whenever they describe someone's face, it is like nothing.
Mine's like blank with eyes and eyebrows.
Mine is just like when they have to like blur someone's face on the news, like that's what mine is for faces.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I thought that was like every time that happens. So it's almost like I always forget about the Rakshasas and
because their like, palace is in the middle of Unicorn Lane, which is just kind of weird.
Yeah. But
it's like
it's in the middle of Unicorn Lane, but it's hidden in Unicorn Lane.
So what I see is like this like a weird like dark alley. I know it's like but in like a street form. And then suddenly there's this wall. And if you can get over the wall, it's just like paradise.
No.
They had to jump over the wall.
Unicorn Lane is like a broken maze though. And then there's the Fryu Ward and then the paradise.
Yeah, it's anyway, I just have because whenever we get to the final scene,
The palace flies away, and that's weird to me. It's like, wait, what? The palace flies away?
Where's it flying to? How does anyone get there afterwards?
Because it lands. It touches you. I think that you end up really hating them because of Derek. But besides that, you don't really hate them all that much because they're not emotional in any way. So it's kind of one-sided.
It's more that it's like their deep-seated belief that they need to get rid of shapeshifters.
So they're more just like,
which is weird given what they are.
Again, anytime you view otherness as less than, it opens the gates to genocide. It's just literally, that's always the progression. If something different means less than, therefore we are superior, therefore at some point in time, they're no longer human. They don't feel pain like us. It's actually our moral obligation to protect our children and get rid of them.
Which quick note is was the main issue in Magic Bleeds with the Order.
Yeah. And
the Order's beliefs are very similar to the Rakshasa's beliefs, just in a different lens.
Right. It's just humanity is superior rather than this.
But they don't see shifters as human. That was the issue.
The Order?
The Order. The Order. I mean, the Rakshasas see them as just terrible.
The Rakshasas see humanity and animals as lesser. Yes. And the shifters are just the abomination of the two.
Yeah.
Whereas the Order is like humanity is the pinnacle of all things and is what should be protected. It's just it's always a problem. Always a problem.
Always a problem.
It is always a problem. And look, I think this offers more. I think this always feels like a commentary on that kind of belief rather than anything else. But
I've said this before.
I think zealotry is dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how it does come up with the Rakshasas and the Order, because it's just a different side of the coin.
Right.
Yeah.
For that belief as well.
I've said this before about other books as well, but I like with paranormals or fantasies for them to have the thing that is prejudice a lot of times be something that doesn't actually exist in our world, because I feel like you can kind of set examples to people of why it's not okay, and you're not talking about their own prejudice, so they haven't already shut you out, and stop listening. And
sort of sneaks up
feel like truly it can be a seed that kind of helps you see, maybe.
Yeah. That's not quite right.
I do think that it would be right. Like, I think it's a progression, but I do think that it's something that paranormals and fantasies can do, where it's like, this sucks. And it sucks to do it to your fellow humans also.
Yes.
So there was something.
Sorry, I sidetracked us onto the Rakshasas, but the time that they spend in Jim's safe houses, I found really interesting, just from the different characters that we sort of meet that pop up later on, but also just the things that we find out about the characters. I loved the thing that everything in the safe house is mislabeled in the kitchen. So if you wanted to find ingredients in the pantry, you have to look in the weirdest places.
She's like, he's paranoid.
And I like that.
Yeah, he's paranoid. One of Dolly's reasons
is he's a cat. Yeah, that was it. It was like, oh, he's paranoid. He's a cat. So like,
the head of security. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love too
coffee.
when Curran snuck into her apartment and kisses her and stuff, and then she spends the rest of the book just trying so hard not to kiss him again, because that's like all she wants to do anytime they're in the same vicinity, and she knows like she's not gonna hold out, so she's just like trying to keep him away. It's great.
Oh man, and then the hot tub.
The hot tub. I love it.
And then Derek cock block, but the hot tub.
So one of my favorite scenes in this, and this is not a Kate and Curran scene, is shush. But it's when they make the decision to put a team together for the Midnight Games, and how the other characters just band around Kate straight away, because I think what we've seen is how even though she is reluctant to let people get close, how she's really got this loyalty from the people around her to trust her, that even though it's something that's illegal and something that, and part of that is their allegiance to Derek as well. But they really don't even hesitate in going, no, we'll do this and we'll do it with you, because she doesn't want them to get hurt. So she's actively trying to stop them. They're like, no, you need this. I'm going to be this role, and I need this, and I'm going to be this role for you.
Right.
Which I really liked, because I think because then when Curran also joins the team, I think that's
right. I thought really that the team round, if you will, was really smart and made for a more interesting story.
Yeah.
And also forced proximity, not just with Kate and Curran, but with all of them.
I liked that even when Curran came in to like take over Simon's spot, he still let Jim be the leader. Like he's like, no, I don't want to mess with what's
emotional
going on here.
maturity.
He was like, no, like y'all seem to have it together. I'm just going to be the muscle, because Simona's muscle is very untrustworthy.
I also a toddler with fists. I also like that Curran's like, a silver golem, the literal thing that can kill me.
Kate got so mad. She's like, I got him.
She was taking too long. I had no choice but to almost kill myself with silver poisoning.
I do like that it wasn't
so
like
she didn't bleed at all. It
wasn't like you were in danger. It's like, no, you're just taking too long. And she's like, bro, patience.
Unnecessary risks.
And he's just like, I am all powerful. I don't need patience.
I also feel like, though, for me, this does come from a place of protectiveness. And it is, he would literally rather be in horrific pain than have her bleed.
I do love their first round when Jim was like, all right, guys, like win, but just like barely win.
Just take it slow.
Barely win.
You're going to have
really
Dolly.
Badly.
Dolly is like said that her stuff doesn't even work most of the time. Like just barely win. And they're like, got it. And they like don't even move. And the other team just kind of falls over it.
Just like, what are you talking about? I headbutt him like a moron. She's like, yeah, you beat him without using your weapon.
And then Curran's like, he tripped. Did you want me to like make sure he fell correctly?
It's not my fault. He doesn't know how to fall.
Dolly was like, I didn't think it would work. I was like, oh my God. Like they're like, what the hell did you do? And she's like, the most powerful curse I know. Just figured it wouldn't work, so I thought, why not?
I liked seeing the dynamic of all the different characters working in different combinations. I thought it was very clever, and it was so funny.
Yes,
they feel like fully fleshed out characters to me.
They do
without being like annoyingly like, oh, all right, we've spent 3 chapters on Jim's backstory. Like, no, but they like, I understand their dynamics and stuff, and I really like them.
I just love Jim like breaking his clipboard in frustration.
Poor Jim.
That was great.
It's like herding cats. What did you want from me? I did it all wrong. Yes, but
I just
wanted like 2 seconds with
that
no
scene
weapon.
Cracked me up. It was just like, look, I headbutted him because you said not to go
Look
all
at
out.
all the blood on my face, like a moron.
And Curran was like, "What do you want me to do? He tripped. He should know how to fall."
That was so good.
Oh gosh.
Oh, also, I forgot about this. When Curran sees like the wolf scratches on her, and then he does like this edict that no shapeshifter can harm her at all, and he's like, is that wait, is that injury for one of my people? I don't think so. Like, I loved that. I was like, yes, my dude, yes.
Oh,
how dare my people beat you up?
Also, Curran sentencing himself to the same 8 weeks of labor for participating in the games.
Yes, I loved that. He was like, look, you go to the games, you get punished. I went to the game, so I got punished.
I got punished.
Good for you, Curran.
Okay.
The two people that we haven't mentioned, I know we probably need to start moving on to some of the other books, but the two people we haven't mentioned in this, Hugh and Nick.
Hugh D'Ambre.
Fucking Hugh. And fucking Nick, actually.
I didn't realize until the reread that I'm like, wait, Nick is back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that he came back so early. I forgot that he was at the games with Hugh. I remembered he came back later, but I forgot that he came back at the games.
Same. Just the fact that he like tricked her into doing a ridiculous piece of swordsmanship.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, you know, Hugh and Kate were trained by exactly the same person. Again, they're two sides of the same coin.
For all intents and purposes, they're literally the best in the world. It's not just like a unique style. It's like a unique style, and they're the best in the world, and
proficiency in it.
Get that good another way. Which I think makes for some great scenes in the future. But here, even specifically, you kind of see the beginnings of that.
Yeah. Oh, also the Red Guard is awesome.
The Red Guard is awesome.
The Red Guard.
Awesome.
The people who were doing the guard work at
the hired security for the Midnight Games.
Did you just say they were awesome?
The head of the Red Guard is one of the coolest people.
She's awesome.
The head. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, the Red Guard, who even cares about them?
Her name's like Renee or something. She does not mess with people.
Like she's like back up in the series.
She does.
Does she? I don't remember her.
Yeah.
Because she literally is just like, here's my poison sword. Please let me use it on you. Come on, make my day.
I mean, yeah. I felt like she was a good character. And obviously you have all these powerful people who don't like each other because they're killing each other's friends. It makes sense that you would have a very strong discouragement to roaming around and killing people behind the scenes.
Yep.
Well, you would hope so.
Yeah.
You would think.
All right.
Okay, so what's the 4.5? 3.5. 3.5, right? Is that what we're on?
Yes. Magic Mourns.
That's the one with Cerberus.
Oh, I will say in Magic Strikes, it's interesting because Gustek and the people never show up at all. Yeah. It does kind of mention their leader possibly being a Rakshasa. She's like, similarities, but that was it. They never showed up, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting because there were vampires in the games,
but they weren't there. I think they had mentioned
but they weren't.
They said that the people didn't go for like a similar reason that the shapeshifters didn't, which was that like it was just too much collateral damage to their people and not enough gain.
Yeah, right. They don't need the money.
I mean, every time a vampire dies, they're like, well, there goes 30 grand down the drain. It's basically like if they just wrecked a car, they're like, well, there goes my frickin' car.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Guess I'll go get another one.
Yeah, and I think that is a theme throughout the whole series. They really don't just squander vampires. Yeah. They will take calculated risk and they will take calculated casualties, but they don't squander them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's very true.
All right, bad news, folks, because that's the only book that I took any notes for, and all I did was.
That's okay. I have.
That's okay, because now we have like the freaking Angel of Death and Cerberus coming up.
Yay, Teddy Joe.
Yes, I forgot that he was so early.
So I didn't.
I know you did.
When Magic Bleeds, when they were like, "Oh, Teddy Joe, your sword," and so then
I was like,
"This sounds
very familiar."
So then when I read the 0.5 this time around, I was like, "Oh my God, his sword!" He's an
also
angel,
the apples that Kate uses to make the apple pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh snap!
Yes,
and that the only people who can eat it are like the old magic.
We never even like talked about Kate like doing blood spikes through that dude's face.
Oh, that was awesome.
After she did the sword, which obviously again, I feel like this happens over and over again in the series. But I'm like, Kate, just because you think you're gonna die doesn't mean that we should expose everything to everybody. Stop it. But somehow it always works out. But I feel like over and over again, she's like, I've been taught never do this, but I'm gonna die, so it won't matter if my secret gets out after this. And then she lives.
Yes.
So then it is a problem. It's all very exciting. But yeah, the blood spikes. I was like, oh yeah, go do it.
Yeah.
I didn't.
But I think it's interesting.
Appeared.
I think it's interesting that there are the people that we find out who actually realize what Kate did at the end of that sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone did. Not everyone picked up on it. But the people...
You're talking about
like she was worried about
the arena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who was it? It was Andrea. Yeah. She was like,
Hugh would have noticed. We didn't get
Hugh noticed.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Hugh know this. We all know this.
It was Andrea, Hugh. And then I think Curran Jim.
Curran noticed something. I can't remember if he
right.
I don't know if he realized the significance.
Context.
And then Jim noticed, because it's mentioned in that Curran POV that Jim was like, need to look into this real fast.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting, just the ones that we find out who picked up on it.
In Curran's POV, Kate's origin, I thought that did a good job, even in just a few sentences, of showing Jim and Curran's relationship, how much they didn't want to hurt each other, how much they trusted each other and respected each other. But it was like, you need to know this information. And if you choose to go forward with it, I'm going to stand by you. But I'm also going to tell you, I think it's a bad idea. But after that, I'm just going to be with you.
I do like that the whole time in Curran's head, he's just like, F you, man, I hate this. Why are you telling me this? Get the F out of my room. Don't ruin my day.
Yeah. And I also love that he was just like, well, hopefully she tells me at some point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, exactly.
All right.
In Magic Mourns, I felt really bad for
Aunt B.
What is it, Aunt B? I was so sad. I was like, not your little mate, lover man being taken, like his ghost.
Yeah. They took his body. They took his dead body. I was like, why?
Yeah, stupid little vampire queen wannabe.
No.
Yes. Is that?
Then she changed into a frickin' Hydra.
Yeah.
Although I feel kind of like when they were like, no one can eat the apples because they, like, unless you're a god or whatever. And I feel like Teddy Joe pulled a Willy Wonka, no, don't do it. No.
Yeah, for sure. He was like, well, now it's gotten to this point. Guess I gotta do a little something.
Yep.
Yeah, not just God, obviously, but the idea that magic older than the apples, which would include Curran and Kate for different reasons. I thought that was very interesting. I had completely forgotten all about that. And actually, you know what? I had never read Curran's POV or the 0.5, so maybe I didn't know. Maybe I just thought they were regular apples. But it was definitely
I did too. I thought they were regular apples. Yeah. And then I read the 0.5 and I'm like, oh my god, they're not regular apples.
No, they're not regular apples. And that becomes a running thing through the series. What I liked, because we found out so far that Andrea doesn't get sent out on jobs because what's his name doesn't trust her. And
Ted Moynihan.
Thank you. Him. That one.
He can die.
I hate him so much. I hate him so much. His name is embedded in my brain.
He's such a misogynistic, supremacist, purist little prick. I hate him.
I hate him so much. Ted Moynihan's the worst person in the entire world.
I hope he dies by like a toad or something. It's like, I don't remember what happens to him.
Yeah, but I do love Maxine, and because Andrew's the only one who can go out, and she says, "Have fun, dear. I hope you get to kill something."
Yeah, I like her.
Kate is a very neutral character. Like, she does her job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care a ton about her, but I do like her.
Yeah.
Seriously, I hope he dies a fiery death.
Ted Moynihan is
Yeah, I
the
forgot
worst.
Or a very embarrassing one. I don't remember
also
what
just,
happened
like-
to him. But if I were writing it, the man would be embarrassed and then die via fire.
He's just so like, when people make jokes on Twitter about like entitled white men, he is one of those people that they are making fun of.
Right.
And he's the worst.
Very much so. And it's annoying too because he's not stupid. He's not stupid, which makes his ignorance that much more unbearable because it's not just that like his brain can't comprehend anything. It's a willful men and human men specifically are superior and everything else is it's fine if they're a casualty. It's fine if they're collateral damage, and some of them I'm going to make collateral damage on purpose because the world would be a better place without.
Oh yeah, when he got mad at Kate, not because she fought in the games, but because she fought in the games on the side of the shifters. And I was just like, excuse me, sir?
I just don't even care about him. Like, I just am waiting for his death.
I hate him so much.
We'll have celebratory drinks when we come to that.
Yeah, I don't remember when, where, how, why. I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
But I am rooting for his death.
Yeah. All right. Should we go on to this one?
Magic Blitz. The beginning is so heartbreaking. I was like, Curran, where are you?
Oh my god.
Get her underwear,
my heart was just ripped out of my chest.
She made you food. Listen, I cook. I think you guys both cook to a certain extent anyways. I cook. Literally nothing frustrates me more than like my cooking being unappreciated. Number one, do not show up 30 minutes late. Like, the food's not good anymore. No. Like, if I had known you were going to be then, that's when I would have cooked the food for. This is not how that works. Two. Do not watch me cook this whole meal and then tell me you're not eating after I cooked it. Listen, by the way, I'm not complaining about my husband. None of these are my husband, but these have all happened to me. Then, do not tell me you don't like the food when you have not even taken a bite. Do not call somebody else's food gross because it's something that you don't like. Just because you don't eat shrimp doesn't make shrimp yucky. I can't. No, it's rude. It's rude to talk about other people's food. Don't. No. And listen, no. I made you food. Like, this is a common decency. This is a transaction, okay? You need to say thank you. You need to sit at the table. You need to talk to me. I cooked for you. No, I cooked for you.
I feel like we're learning a lot about Heather.
We are. We're learning a lot about Heather.
You want to push my buttons? Be rude to me about food that I made for you when I didn't have to make it.
I think what made it worse is that she even put on lingerie for it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is vulnerability. And she did her makeup for like the first or the second time in a year or something like that. That's a lot of effort. Yeah. Not a fan. And this
and
is
also
something...
if you're going to be late, look, I know what happened to him.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be late, get a message to the person.
Yes.
Yeah. Which obviously he thought that he did or whatever. But again, this is him. This thing.
No. Putting a message on someone's door 4 hours after the dinner is not getting a message to the person.
I agree. But we also, somewhere in here, listen, yes, I definitely grew up with like food as a love language. Like, it's rude. It's rude. No. But with Curran, in the POV, the naked dinner, you actually get the story of what happened, which I had not read before. And this was kind of a plot hole that always bugged me because he just said like he was attacked by 2 bears or whatever. And I'm like, you're the Lord of the Shifters. What do you mean you were attacked by 2 bears? And it took you hours. But we never got the answer to the female on the phone who was like, after this, please give all of your all questions.
Direct all your questions
to Jim.
When I tell you, that made me so stabby. And we never even got an explanation. It was just, Mahone didn't realize it was important. What do you mean? It wasn't even just like, sorry, like, no, I can't leave a message. It was like, in the future, don't use this phone number.
Oh, yeah, no. I will say, that really made me so angry when he confronted her and he was just like, no, you're a coward who ran away. And I'm like, you mother effer were 4 hours late.
4 hours late.
Dinner. Hours.
You are dead in a ditch at this point. I've given up hope. Like, the only reason you haven't showed up is because you were in an accident and you have died. Bled out, crawling on your hands and knees to try and get to me. That is it. Like,
he was like, you didn't call. She's like, yeah, I did. And they were like, leave a message at the tone and don't call us back. And he was like, you're a liar. Like, why would she lie about that? Ask the freaking people.
Well, and this is another thing. It's like he views, and I get that he was ticked, right? But he views Kate in this sense as kind of a spoiled brat. And it's like, then why are you so into her? Like, either she's worthy of the pursuit that you are giving her, or she's not. Why are we doing both?
I hate to break it to him, but he was the one acting like the spoiled brat in that situation.
Yeah. And he was like, well, I was getting patched up by Doolittle. I was like, oh, okay, so then someone who knows Kate, i.e. Doolittle, could have been like, because everyone knew they had that frickin' date. Someone could have been like, do you tell Kate? Or he could have been like, hey, just text her, send her a message, email, something.
Even if she calls, tell her this.
Yeah.
Right. It just doesn't make sense with the way that Curran is and the rules and all the things that she would have asked to speak to him and they would have given her an answer.
Yeah.
And then not told him about it.
And he was like, well, why didn't you come to the keep? And I'm like, I want you to think about what would have happened. You are injured. She is an outsider. She's going to come to the keep and be like, I need to speak to Kurt. What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I mean, the chances are that she would have possibly run into somebody that she knew that would have taken her. But again, same thing with the phone message. Like, why did nobody be like, hey?
Yeah, but even when they went to the Bounty Clan, she started getting attacked because people didn't know her. And so they were just like, you're an outsider.
Yeah.
There's thousands
even
of
like
people
with the Derek stuff, she got attacked. So at this point, she's been attacked kind of. I mean, technically, he did a whole nobody touch her thing. But like her track record with the pack, just giving her the benefit of the doubt and like treating her well is not super great.
She's pretty much non-existent.
She's been told
you don't talk.
He's not answering the phone,
right?
And that
to
direct anything to Jim. Why the hell would she go to the keep after that? Knowing those 3 things.
My pride. No, I'm not coming and publicly begging.
I'm not going to drive.
Just give me a reason why. Why won't you talk to me?
From Savannah to Atlanta.
I'm not walking over to you and your 2 dude bros and being like, why haven't you returned my calls?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I have more pride than that. I'm not doing that. Much
same.
less go to the keep and try to get the Beast Lord to give me attention. No.
No.
If you know that she's left Georgia or wherever it was that she was
in Atlanta. She was in Savannah.
Oh, sorry, Savannah. So she's left Savannah. Why would you leave a message on that door when you clearly know she's going to be in
Atlanta? Yeah. Good point. Excellent point.
Also,
I'm glad I can have one excellent point.
I can smell everything. How could he not smell the fact that there was a full dinner in that trash can? Like, you can always smell cooked food lingering even after the food is gone.
Ward. I think it's because of her ward. Like, she
has that ward was up, if the magic was up, but she took a card. I don't think the magic was up.
But Curran's already proved that he's willing to
break into her wards. Yeah.
Right.
Like, no. No, he did wrong and didn't want to admit up to it. That's what I'm saying.
Agreed. I don't think he did as wrong as she thought that he did.
No.
But at the same time...
But he still did
And
wrong.
I think that he chose anger.
He definitely
over
did more
her.
wrong than he thought he did.
Correct. I think he chose anger
They both
over
have
her, but ultimately...
disproportionate.
See? Yeah. Mandy makes a point. He said he smelled her and that she was gone. You could have smelled the food too, bro. She made an apple pie. That scent lingers for at least 12
magical
hours.
apples.
Persephone's apples.
Yep. Also, just the scent of baking lingers in a house for a very long time.
I'm pretty sure magic wards don't stop baking.
Smell.
Scents from.
I think they do. Okay, I think they do. Because I distinctly remember at some point in time, a ward came down and the smell rolled over them. I'm pretty sure that happened at something.
True. Anyway.
Plus,
and then on top of that, you get Kate and her family dramas in this book.
I love the family dramas in this book so much. So much.
Era was a man. I didn't write it.
I love that Gastek was like, there are 4 people in the city who could do that, and you didn't ask any of them, and this is why your results were messed up. And I'm also personally offended that you didn't come to me.
I love Gastek. When she calls Gastek and is like, so hypothetically speaking, and he's like, excuse me?
I also love the family resemblance. Mm-hmm. I like that, actually.
Yeah. Where she looks like her aunt, except for she's a normal-sized person and her aunt is a basketball-playing sized person.
Listen, it was a different time. The people grew bigger back then.
I don't think that's how history works.
I think that is exactly how it works, actually. Look at Simon.
Simon is part god, 1. He's also not
part god for all intents and purposes.
2,
she's an ancient
people
being.
were very short in olden times, and they've been growing taller in current times.
You only say that because you're 5'7". Or 5'9",
I'm not 5'7".
whatever the frick you are.
What was it? Oh, so the whole thing with I have to just sidetrack this slightly. The whole thing with the steel horse, like I remembered that there was a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Hits a little bit differently.
The Steel Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bar was called the Steel Horse.
Steel
That's
Mary?
why
That's not her name.
And they called it.
Yeah, so the name of the bar was the Steel Horse. The name of the perpetrator was the Steel Mary.
The Steel Mary.
Because they were talking about the It was based off of the whatever tuberculosis Mary thing, whatever. I forgot what she was called back in the day.
Typhoid Mary?
That was Typhoid Mary. It was based off of Typhoid Mary, but because she was in the Steel Horse bar, it was the Steel Mary. Yeah.
And I liked how in this one we got to see more of the other organizations that work. I find them fascinating.
Yeah.
But also that Kate has a decent relationship with them as well. Like she won't always get what she wants, but she has a relationship with the actual day-to-day people.
Yeah, the head of the magical division of the pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I remember in the future I don't know. She's not a huge fan of pad, is what I remember.
No.
But she likes the people in the biohazard division. She thinks they're nice.
Yeah.
I do feel like that it wasn't super traumatic to read in the time of pandemic because a full-blown pandemic doesn't happen in the book. It's just kind of the threat of it, and they're trying to ward it off.
Yeah.
So that I feel like that makes it not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't triggering. I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
I do like that they were also like, oh my God, there's a monster in the basement. And she comes out with like a mangy poodle.
A freaking attack poodle.
Attack poodle. Yeah, she's like, I have conquered the beast. Give me a chain. And she walks out with a freaking poodle. I think that's the best. When she was like, I have conquered the beast. Give me a chain. And she walks out with this mangy poodle who's just like, hi.
That's good. Something that I love about Kate is her sense of humor all throughout the series, where like what she's saying is really funny, but like the people didn't appreciate it.
No. But also, you know, that she's walking around with this dog and she thinks it's a different breed for the longest time. And she's like, what do you mean it's a poodle?
Part Doberman. Like, she was trying to make him really tough because he's
he's a standard poodle. They're huge.
Yeah, so they're pretty big, yeah. But she's like, he's like part Doberman or something. You're like, no, that's straight poodle, bro.
Straight poodle. Yeah.
I feel for her.
Like, you know, if he was tied up, you know, you could.
Half the time she calls him evidence as well. Like, she's like, they're like, you got a dog? He's evidence.
Yeah. She does get offended when people call him a poodle.
He is a poodle. And she just had him straight shaved as well. Like, she wasn't like, no, we're not gonna like poodle him up. Just shave it all off.
Yeah. Like, he's not a poodle like this poodle.
Oh, poodle.
That's a little poodle. He's a giant poodle.
He's a normal size poodle.
Normal. It's a very large dog.
Yep.
Yep.
I loved the attack poodle. One, I like that she called him attack poodle.
Yeah.
And
she just collects people.
She collects misfits.
Despite her best interests or her best intentions of not. She just accumulates them all.
It's because she has a heart. Which her aunt
does.
Was like, that's a weakness. You can't have a heart.
Yes.
Well, that's literally what she's been told her whole life is don't care about anything.
Yeah.
And I also love that it talks about how her aunt is what her father, the father she grew up with, tried to train her to be, the sociopath that any casualty, any payment is fine to pay.
Not a sociopath.
Yeah.
You don't want that even pretend human connection. You just want to murder. Because she called her a psychopath.
And my children were annoying, so I had to kill them.
Yes. Oh my God. She's like, my kids just were too dumb to live. And I'm like,
they were too dumb to live. Was I just supposed to let them like tarnish my name? I think not. I
like that Kate then like mouthed back. That was just like, I think you're doing just fine by yourself tarnishing your name.
She kind of collected Dolly in book 3. Like that was an introduction.
I just said I think her misfits for that group were the actual team that she put together.
Right, yeah, which most of them were kind of already her misfits, but Dolly was new.
Yeah. So I was going to say the scene where they're at the guild, because she's been there investigating the latest Mary.
And she's like, oh, darn, everybody was going to die. I showed too much power again. I should stop doing this.
Well, that too. But also when Jim and Curran finally, because at this point they've refused because it was a shapeshifter. Oh my God, I can't talk. Anyway,
shapeshifter.
Thank you. Who died at the Steel Horse, and she offered the Order's assistance to the attack, and they said no. And now there's a second attack, and they turn up at the guild.
Yeah.
And the scene where she refuses to address Curran directly and talks through Jim.
And she's like, I was told to address everything to Jim.
Everything to you.
I do like that Jim was like confused because it's like he didn't know that this phone call had happened. So he's just like, my lord.
Seriously, Jim, you're the security chief. You know about somebody sneezing across your border, but you're not aware that Kate called for Curran? Very interesting.
I still like that he was just like, my lord, Kate says this. She's like standing right here. He's just like, I guess I'll just go along with this. My lord, Kate says this.
Also,
and he's so
I love that he's like, you cooked him dinner? I'm out. I'm out.
I'm
not. He was like, all right, mating rules in effect. I'm out. I don't have to be here anymore.
I'm done.
You know, he would have run from that room.
Curran willingly going through a ridiculous amount of pain to just try and keep Kate from getting the tiniest scratch on her, while also kind of trusting that she can actually dispatch the homicidal maniac.
Yeah. He was like, you're going to die. And he's like, no, I won't. She's like, what if I have a plan? He's like, okay, as long as you have a plan.
I love them.
Well, there's the loophole now. She just has to say she's got a plan.
Oh, and I did like the what is it, Mark, the guild's finance dude that no one likes.
Oh, I don't.
I really
like
liked that he. I really liked that he like when she went into Solomon Red's office. I don't like him. I like that when she went into Solomon Red's office and she realized that Mark was covering for the fact that Solomon couldn't read.
Because he was making money.
But he was being honest about it. Like there was nothing like, oh, he was lying or whatever. It's like, no, he was being honest and was like, hey, this is what it says. This is what it's doing. Here's the cause of this.
Stef, am I losing my mind? Is there not a reveal about him later?
I think there is, but I think the one thing that we had about Mark was that, you know, for the most part, he's actually, like, he doesn't hide the fact that he's the finance guy, that he is a suit in a group of people that
are not suits.
That are not suits. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there is something.
I feel like that's not a crowd where you can fake it till you make it. Like they're literally just like,
no, but he, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But,
I agree.
And at this point, the guild, even when Solomon was in charge of it, was still possibly not functioning optimally, maybe. Mm-hmm. So like this is almost just the sort of the downward spiral of the guild. So, you know, concurrently we've got the downward spiral of the order and the guild as well. And it's just, they just look different with what's happening because, you know, all you've got everything that's happening in Atlanta and very few people in authority who actually have the willingness to step up and do something about it.
Well, the pack has now lost one of their
positioning.
The pack now lost one of their income revenues because the guild was paying them 10% of their annual income.
Yeah,
because of Solomon.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Then
Kate mentions it. She's like, "That's a blow to the pack's finances."
Right.
Yeah.
Then Kate sneaking in to Curran's gym and welding his horror room closed and then messing with his weight bench. And he's like, that was custom.
And then putting catnip all over.
And then he's like so mad. And like, she's like, come on, think, you idiot. Think. And he's like so mad.
She literally like calls him dumb. She's just like, you're an idiot. I'm tired of you. Good night.
And then the retaliation and escalation, both. And I love how he just like walked into her office and was like, hey, I'm going to take this donut. What are you going to do? Stop me? As her seat, as her butt is literally glued to her seat. And then he knows that it will like combust when she tries to take it off and doesn't tell her.
I do like the amount of petty that they both are with each other because when they're both mad with each other. Like Kate,
that's why it works. It's just one of them was petty. It wouldn't work.
She's just like, hello? No. Bye.
Also, this escalation, this pettiness, this, you know, cat and mouse game that they're playing is why then the conclave is like, oh no. Like,
yes.
No, though. And I don't understand. I do not understand. First of all, Kate technically owed him the date, but she was not actually his bodyguard. Like, she could have let him bleed and it wouldn't have been like a big deal. She was like, no, I can't let anything happen to you. And I'm like, why? Like, maybe don't let him die, but
Simon was
he regenerates. And he was a drunk moron who was just like, oh, this is hilarious. Look at Curran. He's so furious.
Well, Simon didn't
my revenge.
That Curran would kill him.
Because he sees people as people, regardless of if they're shapeshifters or not, and they all follow people etiquette. That was his brain. Like, he's like, no, like, whatever, it's fine.
No, he doesn't.
For Simon, it is a willing blindness to the fact that he is stepping on people's toes and there are consequences to it because he is so used to being the one with all of the power. And because he lost it in Magic Strikes, he's pissed off. And so he's decided to get back at Curran, but he doesn't actually understand the extent to which the shapeshifters will retaliate for for someone stepping on their territory. Like it doesn't compute to him because he's still the most powerful person in the room. He's getting back at them.
But he's also nervous because that's why he keeps drinking. He's drinking because he's nervous.
Now, I mean, you could be right because that's certainly the way that it's written. But the way that I read it, I was just like, okay, if I were Kate, would I have let Curran kill him? No. Mame, yes, already covered that. But rather than being like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head Curran off. I'm going to grab this bottle and I'm literally going to cut the Beast Lord's jugular if he tries to go off of my body. I would have punched Sam in the face. I would have just knocked him out and been like, well, we'll be going now. Like, I don't know why she didn't do that.
Well, she was still pissed at Curran at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
But she was mad at
she was
Saman when she realized that he knew that Curran was going to be there and did it on purpose.
Also, I will say,
Jim, at all the men in her life at that point.
Jim was being a real friend though, because he was like, "Hey, are you in trouble? I can get you out of here."
Right.
So like Jim came up and he was like, look, before anything happens, before like Curran just blows up, like, do you need me to get you out of here?
Well, it wasn't even just before Curran blows up. It was, I know you're not into this dude, so why are you here and do you need help?
Blink once if you're being held captive, basically.
Exactly. And then I just love that they like attack each other and bang.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It only took us 3.5 books to get there.
So much work.
Oh man, but like the end of Ted Moynihan is the worst person in the entire world. We're going back to this for a second because I just thought of the final battle when Kate's literally like, hey bro, her powers don't work on women, but with men it'll just turn crazy. Don't bring men in. And also make sure it's not in a public place because she causes chaos and riots. And what does this mother effer do? He puts it in like the center of a frickin' amphitheater and then fills it with men and like 3 women. And I'm just like,
yeah. I
hate you, Ted Moynihan.
We hate him. But also with that, like, I understand Raphael being like,
what the F, bro?
like, yeah, I would have been okay. I mean, obviously it's not the same thing, but literally just like imagine your significant other like picking his job over your safety and well-being. No, I don't care if I love you. We're done at this point. So like for me, I'm just like,
as I said, as we said earlier, Andrea's got issues she's got to work through.
Mm-hmm. I know it's the trauma, but
when they had that meeting,
it's not even the trauma. It's just dealing with like she's another one who doesn't know what she wants because she's worked for something her entire life, and she can't. And she's finally found what she probably needs, but she can't have both.
She also is like, she really believes, I think it's more of a hope than a belief, but she's really hoping that there are enough good people in the order to make change. Because she's like, Kate, don't leave. Like we have to fight against the corrupt so that we are good. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Most of them are, there's too many corrupt people in this group to overpower.
How it always is though. You literally have to start a new thing.
Yeah,
you don't. She's purify it.
She's not. Yeah, she's not there to. She's not at that stage where she understands that. In this book, at least, she's still got that.
Okay,
hope that's what.
But like you said, you know, the thing that she's been working for, and now she's found the thing that she needs. For me, like that's a clear choice. I never understand when characters are like, I've had this plan for 10 years. And it's like, yeah, 10 years ago, you had a completely different circumstance, set of information, different place in life. Of course, that was your plan. But now you're here and you literally have happiness in your sights. And you're like, gotta stick to the plan. And plan doesn't include that happiness. And it's like I don't understand it.
That's fair enough. I think different people will, as Stacey said, empathize with it in different ways. Like I don't agree with it, but I get it for her character why that was the choice that she made, because I think part of it comes down, she has a deep distrust of shapeshifters.
Yes, she does. With obvious reason.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, like I rather not excusing it, but I can understand why that would be the choice that she would make.
But also, she knows that her current option is garbage. It's Ted. Like,
I do like the scene where Ted is just like, if you walk out of this office, you're never coming back in. And Kate's just like, yoink.
See ya. That was a great scene.
I would have stabbed him a little bit, but you know.
Nah. I do like that he, I think it was at the very beginning when Ted confronts her saying like, you're too big for your britches and like keeping a dog on a short leash. And she was just like, just don't forget that if a dog is on a short leash, it's close enough to bite you. And I'm just like, she makes
I would have never made it in the order, clearly. Been like, yeah, but you're wrong. So bye.
Something we skipped over, which is the introduction of another character who pops up and has kind of a significant-ish. He's a significant side character. Is Bo Clayton from which PD? I forget. Oh, Milton PD.
He's a little sheriff.
Yeah, he's a little sheriff, and it's person? Like. No, so when Andrea and Raphael get arrested after their little stay at the hotel, Kate has to bail them out with Bo, and because he comes back later on, it's sort of a political maneuver that brings him back into it. And again, I forgot that he was introduced in this book.
Right, that was the one scene where I was completely on Andrea's side. I was like, yeah, exactly, beat her.
I do like that. It was like she didn't have ID, but she had a gun. Sounds like Andrea. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Another thing that I thought of earlier, I do think, and it was definitely in Magic Strikes, maybe in Magic Bleeds too. Yeah, definitely in Magic Bleeds, I think. But I like how they specifically kind of avoid the cult storyline or the religious storyline, because it's like, no, you don't want your people to view you as a god, because their belief shapes your magic, shapes your choices and your urges, basically. It's not a smart route to take in the time of magic. I think that is a very interesting thing in the series.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing, Kate's bouncing around. So we keep going to different safe houses in the last couple of books. The setup in this for Jennifer and Kate's relationship. So Jennifer's the female.
The alpha of the Wolf Clan.
Alpha. And yeah, it's their relationship is
always hard for me, because anything with mental health, grieving, these are obviously things that can truly change the way that you think. So what is unreasonable is actually reasonable. But at the same time, when you're not the person experiencing it, it's like you're being unreasonable. Kate did what she had to do, and honestly, it was a courtesy to you. It was a blessing to you to not have to put down your own sister. So it's hard to empathize, because you're like, don't take it out on her. Like, you shouldn't be taking it out on her. But also, grief is literally its own creature, and you can't
100%.
Just be like, well, don't feel that way.
And that's why I think it's interesting, because there's it's not as clear cut as going, okay, we don't like you now because you're taking this all out on Kate. Because even Kate understands why Jennifer's taking it out on her. She doesn't try to make an excuse for it. She did what she had to do, and she knows that it was the right thing to do, and it sucked.
I do like that she tells Jennifer, she's like, look, I understand where you're coming from, and I know that you think pushing your pain onto other people will help get rid of your pain, but it won't.
Yeah.
Something that I usually don't like is kind of the martyr trope. So it's like Kate's never actually angry at them back or, lashing back out. Just always understanding of their pain and stuff. A lot of times I don't like that, but I feel like in this series they do the balance well, that it's like Kate's never getting on my nerves with her just turn the other cheek attitude.
I think it's because
not really how she is. But.
Kate doesn't always turn the other cheek. I think that's why.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think it's a good balance.
And I think when she is almost empathetic to things that you would normally want people to turn around and actually have an opinion on, it's a significant moment. It's not just there for the sake of placating a character. It's because it actually has meaning to Kate as a character.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think she does get it. But it also plays into, I think, how the Alphas view her at the end of the book as well.
Yep.
Because hey Charles, they mostly have a very limited viewpoint or interaction with her. They only really know what they've been told by Jim and by Curran. They actually haven't spent that much time with her.
Yeah. Although
the whole ending just makes me so mad.
Makes me so mad. I feel the end just like it breaks my heart for Curran. Like
for both of them.
It's so it rips my heart out for him.
It just honestly, I understand the whole if somebody else, defends you, then you're weak and we might as well just put you down now. But at the same time, it just makes me dislike everybody that was like, well, we're just gonna stand back and watch.
Pissed off at the most in that sequence is Jim.
Seriously though.
Yeah, I was still mad
because he doesn't move against Kate, but he does absolutely nothing.
And on top of that,
and of anyone, he knows exactly where Curran's head is in turn with Kate.
Yeah, no, I hated that. I loved that during the meeting, she was like, "Who's against me?" And they were like, "The Jackals." And she's like, "Word, homie." And she just goes and murders the Jackals. And she's like, "All right, who's against me?"
No, I haven't murdered them. She waited for them to challenge.
Yeah, she waited.
Play it smart.
She did it the right way, but she was still like, okay, well, I'm going to manipulate you till you come at me.
Well, and here's the thing too, and I think that this is something that we humans can relate to, but they're all shapeshifters. They heal so quickly. They're literally not used to being in pain for long periods of time because they heal. So it's like you guys are beating her to a pulp day after day. How many of you and they talk about how nobody has ever faced this many challenges in such a short period of time, how technically it should be the couple and you can't do a challenge if the other member of the couple is incapacitated. All these things that are just like, Jim, again, there were so many loopholes, so many things that you could have been like, look, you can't be doing this. And I know their whole thing was, well, Curran's never coming back. And it's like,
the fact that the only ones who not necessarily stood up for Kate, but I guess stopped their people were Pack Heavy and the Bautas. Because Spee was like, I'm on Kate's side, don't mess with her. And Heavy was like, I respect Curran, don't mess with her. And it's like, Jim, you've been her friend forever and you're Curran's best friend. And you're just like, well, good luck, Kate.
Well, and the wolves were the main issue, but it didn't matter.
I hated the wolves.
I
still hate the wolves. The only wolf I like is Derek. The rest of the wolves I hate.
You can suck. Yeah.
There are some other wolves that you'll like later on, but Derek at the moment is the only one worth.
Is there?
Derek's the only wolf.
Yes, there's the one they adopt in, but that's later.
I don't remember.
I do like that when they did the vote, if she could stay or leave, Clan Nimble was like, we remember what you did for Crest's now wife or whatever, and so we're gonna respect you.
I just so mad, just like, and she's like, you will, like, you can try and take me away from him and you will all die.
When Curran woke up and realized what happened, I like,
because there were so many things that could have stopped it. So many things. Just the respect.
Yeah.
Should have been enough to make it not happen. And especially when he's when he's just like, I have given my entire life to keeping y'all safe and making this something worthwhile, and you gave me 48 hours. Like,
it was just like, I felt so bad when Curran was just like, they've been doing what with Kate? And I'm just like, oh no, Curran. And he's just like, I have given like literally over half my life to only you people. Blood, sweat, tears, my money. Like, I've almost died for y'all so many times. And there's one person that actually makes me happy. You can't just like leave her alone.
Right.
For a week.
And it was heartbreaking, but also like it was the only appropriate response. At that point, if Curran is not 100% on Team Kate and like furious, then the relationship doesn't work at that point. The only option was for him to be like, I cannot believe this.
But I think he genuinely couldn't believe it. It's not like, oh well, I need to be on his side because he's my mate. It's like, exactly, but that's why he's like, it shouldn't have happened. He believes the same thing you do. He's like, it shouldn't have happened. I'm with them. It shouldn't have happened.
There were so many options for people to put a stop to it, but they wanted to watch the power games play out and just, stand back and say, well, does Curran wake up? Does he not? If he doesn't wake up, who's going to be in charge? We don't want to, and it's just...
Also, going back to this purity thing, they were going after Kate because she was human.
Yep.
Like, they're like, you're not one of us, so you can't be with him. And it's like, haven't we already seen this with the Rakshasas and with the Order?
Yeah. Which is ironic because they have plenty of humans in the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They just don't want her to be the ultimate.
Or they just don't want one to be at the top.
The alpha mate.
Yeah.
But also, again, it's like...
It's not your choice,
She doesn't heal the way you do. You're literally picking on somebody who's weaker, who is still beating you to a pulp.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe that they're still going after her when she just keeps killing them. Because it's not to the tap out, it's to the death. So she's literally just murdering these people, like 3-4 a day, and they're like, yeah, keep going. There goes my light.
Well, literally the I felt like it was the Too Dumb to Live ones, the ones that are like, she's just a human. I don't know how all those wolves over there died, but I'm sure I could take her.
Yeah, no.
Wasn't there some comment made, or maybe this was just a thought that I had, because the majority of the challengers were wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't someone make a comment about them basically sacrificing members of their pack for something?
It was in Curran's POV in his
that's right, it was.
One. Because the wolf alpha told Jennifer to sit down because he wasn't challenging Curran and Kate. That's right. I was like, he's fine with making his wolves fodder, but he does actually draw the line at her throwing his and her life away.
Yeah, that's right.
But also, like, can you imagine if Curran woke up and Kate had been killed by the pack in a challenge? Like, I think he would have decimated the entire pack.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Against genocide, but I would have had a hard time not rooting for him in that particular instance.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you are justified, sir.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like that's like, it felt like that was when Curran was just like, it doesn't matter how hard I try or what I do. Like,
this is no longer endgame for me. I can see this.
And he starts like pulling away,
never gonna
basically.
be what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like all the basically the trust is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter that you had years of trust up to this point. This was your time to show what this bond meant to you, and you blew it, and it's literally never.
Yeah, I feel like it was like almost like a realization that it might not have been that they like respected and trusted him, but that they feared him into like with submission, basically. So instead of following the rules and submitting because we respect you and trust you, so you like instead of like a mutual thing, it was more
I don't think it was so much fear. It was respect of his strength rather than love for him. And when they thought that strength was no longer going to be standing for them, they didn't view anything that he loved as valuable because they didn't love him. They just wanted his strength, respected his strength. And when that was not, in the equation, the love and affection and respect didn't carry through past that.
So basically he was just being used, and he kind of realized that.
Again, with the alphas, Jim, Mahan, whatever his name is, he makes me so mad. He does. I love him, and he makes me so mad.
I'm very lukewarm on Mahan.
Right. I mean, there are scenes where I'm like, no, dude, don't. He does clearly care about Curran, and I think this might be a little bit of my conservative religious background, but it's also just my way is right and the highway, and
he's old school.
Like you should be doing what I say, even though you're a grown man and the Beast Lord. And
the thing about Mahan is he's essentially a kingmaker,
right?
And so they have those types of characters often have significant influence over the people that they've put in position of power because they're respected, whatever, whether or not they choose to abuse that or not. So to him, he's stepped in as a father figure. He's helped him to get to this place, and now he's suddenly realizing that this son that he's raised has a mind of his own. Like sometimes
I think he's been saying that, but I think that this is really a point where they disagree.
Yeah.
And he's not getting his way. Yeah. And also, you can't ignore the fact that you now have a new influence on Curran that is probably going to be the strongest, which I think is as it should be, Yeah. If you are in a lifelong committed relationship to somebody, their opinion should be number one with you.
And having Kate in his life means that the pack, while the pack is still incredibly important and is a huge priority, it's not always going to be the top priority.
Mm-hmm. I think it would have been if they had accepted her, and then possibly she would have been.
Yeah.
But
part of the pack, obviously.
Because I think if they had like respected his wishes and like not touched her, I think the pack would have still been number one because he wouldn't have had to worry 24/7 about Kate's safety in the pack. Like now she has to be number one because like they're not going to protect her.
I think she would have still ended up number one, but maybe not quite as quickly. Like
like eventually
more of a gradual.
Yeah, like a gradual earning of respect.
Well, because the other thing is if everything had stayed the same, and they had kids, his focus still would have shifted.
Yeah,
just naturally. That's just the way of relationships. So all the pack has done is accelerated, sort of his.
By being ungrateful little
crap.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah.
I do also love about it.
I was going to say that sequence introduced one of my favorite side characters from the whole series. So
Follow up. I forgot that a mongoose was a bird.
A mongoose isn't a bird.
I think I thought a mongoose was a bird.
No.
I was like, is my whole life a lie?
Okay, so
look
in my
up
brain,
mongoose and snakes.
You never watched Ricky Tikki Tavi as a child?
In my brain, here's what I think of mongooses as. There's two things I think of mongooses as. In my brain, I think of them as like the mix between a weasel and a ferret.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
they kill snakes. Ricky Tikki Tavi.
The cobras. A bird like a mean ostrich style of bird.
No. It's between the weasel ferret. It kills cobras and snakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ricky Tikki Tavi, it was a book that got turned into an old time cartoon. He like protects. He's like fighting the cobras, and he's like protecting the little son. And then he like goes into and then it's kind of sad because the daddy cobra, the king cobra, Ricky Tikki Tavi kills him, and then the queen is like, "Oh, I'm going to get my revenge," and then Ricky Tikki Tavi is like, "No, I'm going to kill you and your little baby." So I mean, it was a little bit sad in that sense, but it's a huge part of my childhood. That story lives in my head.
Maybe I get emus and mongooses confused in my head.
Look, I don't know how you confuse an emu and a mongoose, but okay.
I'm so glad we were able to save you from this.
You're welcome.
You kind of can't avoid it later in the series and hang on. I actually listened to the audiobooks of the last two books while I was reading, so I could learn how to say the names. And I still
then I say them wrong for you, and it gets confusing.
It's Jezebel.
Oh, no, you and I both say Andrea differently, and I will not change the way that I say that. But,
I know.
It's Jezebel, right?
Barabbas?
And Barabbas.
Yeah, Jezebel and Barabbas. Because in my head, like.
I forgot that Barabbas was introduced so early. That was another one that I was like, "Oh, we're seeing you."
He's I love him a lot.
Barabbas is great.
I really do.
Agree. I definitely agree.
Because he's the lawyer, and the way that he approaches things is like, well, if you do this, this is going to happen.
He also has
but you can do it. Loyalty. But I'm just telling you, like he does. He's actually, I think, one of the first of the pack who is the most loyal to her.
Yeah.
He switches his loyalty very quickly.
Basically,
main loyalty.
I do like that. Go ahead.
I'm Team Kate, so whatever characters are Team Kate, I automatically like more. Yeah. Anybody who gives her an unnecessary hard time frustrates me.
Same.
Yeah. Actually, that's it. Like he's the other misfit that she collects in this book.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that when the two Baudas come in, Kate is automatically, she's like, "All right, so what's wrong with y'all?" Like, she's like, "I'm fully aware B is not going to give me her top A+ people. What's wrong with y'all?"
But it was a genius move that was actually beneficial for them as well. It wasn't like a punishment for them or anything, and I loved that.
In a lot of ways, it's like almost aligning herself with Aunt B was the smartest thing that she did before, even before she sort of accepted Curran.
Even though it was all Aunt B's doing, really.
Aunt
like manipulated her a little bit.
She's the best political manipulator of the rest of the alphas in the pack. I think she's even better. I think she's better at it than Curran.
And because
she's not trying.
I think she's the best.
And she's not aiming for the top spot. She just wants her people to be safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So she will do whatever it takes to keep her people safe, and that means choosing the best people for Kate, but also the people who need somewhere that they're going to be safe themselves.
Right. Because she doesn't just care about her strongest people; she cares about all of her people.
And it's interesting because Barabbas is technically was supposed to be clan nimble,
right?
Based on his species, he's nimble.
Based on his species,
parenthood.
Right.
And he made that choice, and he was accepted into clan
Buddha to a certain extent. Anyways, obviously he was sent to Kate because he wasn't completely, but
it was less to do. Wasn't it less to do with his mongoose-ness and more to do with his sexual orientation.
Yeah, because he doesn't fit. He doesn't fit in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like it's even worse because he's
specifically because their hierarchy and kind of all of their shenanigans are very sex based, and so it comes across not just as a prejudice, but more as it just doesn't fit. Like it doesn't fit in what we're doing. So what should we do with you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think, and in a lot of ways, it's very much it wouldn't fit in nature with the actual animals.
Yeah.
So even in the pack clan structure, it doesn't fit. It still doesn't fit.
Right.
But I do like that instead of being like, you have to change who you love.
Right.
He's just like, I'm just going to put you somewhere safe.
And also, that the people outside of the clan are kind of more accepting of that. And the clan is kind of accepting of him more so if they don't have to try and figure him out in their hierarchy. Yeah. Like, it's not like they have a vendetta against him or anything like that.
No, of course not.
And also, I'm not going to say anything, but you get to see him be happy, and that makes me happy. So,
yes.
I'm happy.
Yes. And you get to continue to see him be happy. But I think the other interesting thing, for I think the time that these books were originally published, you have it's I forget the name of the two alphas of the Rat Clan.
I don't remember them.
I know who you're talking about. Robert
and anyway, I've forgotten his partner's name. And that's an accepted part of the pack as well. It's not no, it's not Tim.
It's not Tim. I forgot what it is. Is it like Felix?
Anyway, it comes up.
I don't remember.
It comes up again later on because they're involved in part of the storyline.
Right.
But it's just a part of the pack. So it shows that it's not a prejudice. It's literally it's almost like as you said,
their dynamics don't work with it. Right.
Yeah.
And also in these books, I think that you do already kind of see an improvement in Alona Anders' language of some things and even some characters. You can see some of the things that, I didn't love in the first couple books already are kind of gone away.
Yeah.
And improving.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right. Should we talk about Magic Dreams?
I liked that
one.
Oh,
we knew that these were one. Yeah,
I love Dolly. Anything with Dolly in it is great.
It's
the perfect October read.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to love it, and I did. I really did. I liked getting her perspective. Yeah, I liked her perspective. I thought it was interesting how she was like, I hate Kate. Jim always says such good things about her, and she's so capable. And she doesn't just faint at the sight of blood. She's like, oh no, here I am. And she slices and dices and like beats them all. She's like, I hate her. But also, she's so nice to her in person. Like, you would never know that she feels so insecure about.
She also likes Kate as a person,
right?
She
just hates that Jim respects Kate so much, and he respects her in a way that he's never going to respect her because those are not her strengths, and she doesn't see that he loves her strengths.
If only he saw the way that Jim treated Kate some of the other times when she's not around.
Yeah.
I know. But I kind of liked how it showed, it's Dolly saving Jim's life. And she does it in a way that's entirely her own. And it's not about fighting.
I think it had to be that way.
Yeah, of course it had to be.
Oh, I liked her mom too. Her mom was cool.
Amazing.
There was another effing dragon.
I loved that there was the scene where he first meets her mum and her mum plays up the stereotype
being rich
and then she just drops it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, now you're fine.
And I love when she walks away and Jim says to Dolly, he's like, I like that being rich beats being black. That's cool. Because he's very dark about it. She's like, well, how much money do you make? He's like, all right, well, good to know. I'll be all right as long as I'm rich.
I really do like that. Her mom was very much just like, oh, I'm an immigrant. I don't speak English well. I'm just gonna talk to my daughter in Indonesian so I can talk behind your back without talking behind your back. And then he's like, hi, I know Indonesian. And she's like, well, hell, fine.
Yeah, that was good.
Where'd your accent go? She's like, well, I don't need to pretend anymore.
I also think it shows a safety and a strength again, kind of with who was it we were talking about earlier? People underestimate him because of his personality.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but if you play into what people expect to see from you, they don't question what they expect to see. You know, and so her playing that stereotype, people just accept it because it makes sense in their head because of the stereotypes that they've been fed, and they don't think to question it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like that her mom the whole time is just like, are you sure you can't find someone else? Are you sure? We can help find you another man. Just let this one go. Life's happy.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
Dead. Just
she was like, this is so amazing. This is such a great match. My daughter, amazing. And then she's like, there's other fish in the sea.
But like, she's not like, daughter, you can like find better. She's literally just like, daughter, he's dying.
Find a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I really appreciate, because I like, especially with alphas, I'm just like, they need to be the pursuer, right? But I like that it was explained that he viewed it as a power dynamic because he was her alpha. And so he really needed her to make the first move, and she was never giving any clear signs. And anytime he would be like trying to appropriately lead her into the light, she would get mad and misconstrue his words and be like, no, I am smart. And he's like, don't go for fights that don't exist, because I really want to court you, and if you would just give me any indication. I love it.
Oh gosh, it was so interesting reading their story again. And isn't it the scene where they keep dumping buckets of water on him to keep him awake?
Keep him awake. And she's like, so she puts a ladle. It's like a ladle. She ladles water, and then he makes her mad, so she just dumps the whole bucket on him.
Yeah. I also liked the dragon guy a lot.
Yeah.
The dragon guy was cool.
There are dragons that pop up again. I can't remember if it's in the main series or if it's in some of the novellas.
There's some in the main series.
And I think there's some in the
one of the later books.
One of Julie's
novellas
as well, I think. It's not him.
I think the only one that shows up is a child.
Yeah, I think that one's related to one of the Julie novellas.
Okay. Well, it definitely shows up in the main.
Yeah.
I think. Unless it was Magic Stars. That would be the only novella that I just read. But otherwise it's definitely in the main. Yeah. Which I don't think it is in Magic Stars, because that follows a whole different storyline, which I
No, it's not Magic Stars. It's one of it actually might be one of the next ones that we're reading.
No, because the kid I just read in my recent reads of it, and I started on book 7 or 8, so it's at least not next month, because those are ones I've read years ago. Still haven't caught up to my 2021 reread.
Oh, good. All right. So,
anything else other than the creepy spider lady, who was very sad, sad origin story, but also you can't just
that was so sad.
It was
such a sad story, but so creepy.
Yeah,
so creepy.
It really was.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we decided that I literally just closed the list that I had up with the next lot of books.
Wow.
That's okay.
We're relying on you. None of the rest of us have it together.
It's okay. I've got it. It's fine. I think we decided that the next live show will actually be a Saturday night. So it'll be, at the moment, November the 13th.
Right.
And the the books that we're reading are Magic Slays, which is book 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are 2 novellas. There's Magic Tests and Magic Gifts, which fall in between the 2.
So does Gunmetal Magic.
And Gunmetal Magic, which looks huge because this one actually has magic gifts in it, which is about 100 pages long. So, and Gunmetal Magic is 5.5. So we're not reading book 6 yet, just because Gunmetal Magic is a full length novel.
So yeah, I completely forgot about that. That we weren't reading 6 with us.
Well, we can read 6, but that's
no.
Gunmetal
I remember we because
we had that conversation.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
9 and 9.5 by itself too, right? Or 9.5 and 10 by itself.
Or 9.5 and 10 by themselves. So and we've trying not to have 1,000 pages a month. So
we have to keep it doable. Do we have Curran POVs?
I don't know. Because I've got that. Is it in? Because I've got Small Magics on my Kindle. But I don't know. So if there's current, I'll have a look and see if there's current POVs. If there is, we'll read them up to the end.
I think that's just like a tiny funny bonus. It says Kate Curran text Wilson building, but it says it's on their website. So I think it was just like a fun little short on if they had text messaging or something.
Yeah, I think that might be in Small Magics.
Could be.
Someone said 5.6 or 5.7.
That would be an ill-advised rescue.
I think are they shorts on
the website? I think they are.
I don't think. Well, we can definitely read them. I think we didn't necessarily count them because they weren't full-length novellas. But yes, you could definitely read them as well.
Yeah. It says a short deleted scene where they have to rescue Simon, who is my favorite person. So I will probably check that out.
Yeah, how can he be your favorite person? He's such a little annoying turd. He's just like, I did not get what I wanted, so I'm going to throw a fit.
I love Simon.
I find him interesting. The other character I find really, really interesting is Gastek.
Gastek's cool.
And much later on in the series, I think he's a very interesting character.
Oh wait, was it in Magic Mourns where they literally go to where they keep all of the vampires to meet Gastek?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I found that super interesting because I didn't know that they kept them in stables as if they're horses, except for they're also chained up and there's 4 different safeties in case the vampires get out.
And it also shows you, again, I think Raphael passing out after switching from human to Buddha to human. Mm-hmm. And again, shows you how impressive Curran's is.
That he can do it.
Kate and Gastek's, their ability, obviously Kate's is more so, but you just kind of take it for granted until you see somebody else so badly fail at this very simple thing that you've been led to believe is simple. I mean, they've pointed out hey, not everybody can do this.
Seizures.
Oh no, he goes brain dead. He was completely brain dead. Yeah. They say, wow, this is impressive, this is hard, but you don't really think about it because you're used to seeing characters do it until you see somebody that's I'm decent. I can't do that at all.
Yeah. No. I just realized we had an ill-advised rescue in for the next lot after the next live show. So
okay. So ill-advised rescue is going into the next one.
We're going to read it before Magic Rises. So it's up to you guys whether or not you want to read it. I don't think it makes.
I'll see if I finish in time.
We literally stopped. Yeah. I think if we stop at 5.5, then you've got a couple of extra little shorts or novellas that you can put in before we start book 6. So
I think it just
that's why I didn't have it in my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is in Magic Rises, because I think it directly relates to that story. Anyway,
to look at lists more.
Yay! I will send you the list again.
So
I thought I sent it to you guys, but maybe I didn't.
I don't know. I remember talking about it. All right. So are we stopping with 5.5 or are we stopping with like 5.6, 5.7?
I think stop at 5.5 because there's going to be enough to talk about.
Okay.
In those stories.
So in the next month, between now and November 13th, we are reading what is the next book? I didn't write it.
Magic Slays.
We're reading Magic Slays, Magic Gifts, Magic Tests, and Gunmetal Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And if there would be any Curran POVs for Magic Slays, we'd read those also. But
I don't think there are.
Yeah, I'll have another look, but I've only just sort of read what I needed to read in Magic, Small Magics, so I don't really know what else is in that yet.
Well, I'm in Small Magics right now, and I have no idea. It's very confusing. It seems like Jim's point of view and Curran's next POV are both magic breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll save them for.
I
think we're good.
Clear.
If anything changes, I'll put a note somewhere, probably on my YouTube community page or in the notes to this.
Right.
Lovely.
Well, it'll have to be a post. Nobody's coming and checking the description to see if anything changed. I'm not. I will not know.
Well, that's because I'll message you. That's fine.
It will have to be in a post though. We're like, oh, look at that. Something changed.
It's all good. I'll do that, or I'll pop it in my Discord or something like that. Okay. Well, thank you to everyone for coming along and having a chat with us.
I'm so excited that we now get to read the next books.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It's so fun to learn what Heather's passionate about.
Yeah. Mongooses.
The next couple of books.
Cooking.
And also...
And people not calling when they're going to be late for dinner.
Backstabbing little trampy shifters who deserve to be maimed and or
and Ted Moynihan who deserves to be slayed.
Yeah.
My list of vindictive of people who I wouldn't mind just dying in these books is long. It got longer in this installment.
All right. On that note, I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night, guys.